I remember the day my mom texted me. We changed all the locks. You don't have a home anymore. Let's see how brave you are now. Ha ha. No call, no warning, just that one message lighting up the dark. I stood there for a second, staring at it. Then I laughed quiet, almost calm, because that wasn't the end of anything. That was the start. 2 days later, their lawyer reached out with 5 words that told me everything had flipped. We have a problem. Call immediately. Before I get into what happened, hit like and tell me in the comments, have you ever been blindsided by your own family? Your stories remind me I'm not the only one. People used to say we were the perfect family on Maple Street. White shutters, trimmed hedges, Sunday dinners that smelled like roast chicken and false peace. If you drove by, you'd probably think warmth lived behind those windows. But perfection is quiet only because it's rehearsed. I was raised to play my part. The reliable daughter, the fixer, the one who didn't talk back. Dad, Richard Liu, was the type of man who believed love meant obedience. If something broke, he'd call my name before reaching for a tool. Kara, hold the ladder. Kara, grab the wrench. I learned to balance on rooftops before I learned to rest. My hands were covered in tiny cuts from wood and wire, but he'd laugh and say, "You're tougher than any son I could have had." Mom would smile, that perfect smile, the one that hid every sharp edge beneath politeness, and add, "Family doesn't count debts." They said it so often it became a prayer. Family doesn't count debts. Translation, everything you give us is owed. Everything we take is love. Then there was Emily, my little sister. 2 years younger, softer, prettier. She never had to lift more than a makeup brush. Dad called her the delicate one, and Mom called her our pride. I was proud too, once. I believed that keeping the peace was my job, that fixing their messes was proof of devotion. When money got tight, Mom would sigh dramatically over the electric bill, and somehow my wallet would open. At 17, I was helping with mortgage payments. By 21, I was covering repairs. It didn't feel wrong back then. It felt like love. They told me I was so good with numbers, so dependable, and I mistook manipulation for gratitude. Every time I patched a wall or transferred a payment, I told myself I was holding the family together. But there's a price to being the glue you never get to stop holding. I remember one Thanksgiving standing by the window watching Mom hand Emily a small jewelry box. Inside was a gold bracelet engraved with her initials. "It's for our little artist," Mom said. Emily hugged her. I smiled, pretending I didn't feel the chill crawl up my arms. That bracelet probably cost the same as 3 months of my rent at the time. But family doesn't count debts, right? Now, years later, that phrase still echoes in my head. Soft, poisonous. I can still smell the varnish from the banister I painted at 16, hear the creak of the lock I once fixed for Dad, see the porch light I replaced flickering in memory. The same porch light that would one day shine over a door I wasn't allowed to open. It started with whispers, soft enough to sound harmless. I came home late from work one night, shoes damp from the Portland rain, and heard my name through the kitchen door. I should have kept walking, but something in Mom's voice froze me mid-step. She doesn't realize all her help was voluntary, she said, quiet but clear. When we sell the house, it'll just be our names on the papers. My chest tightened. Sell the house? Our house? The same place I'd painted, repaired, financed piece by piece for years? Dad's laugh came next, low and smug. Classic Kara, all heart, no business sense. Then Emily's voice, hesitant, "But won't she expect something?" Mom snorted. "Expect what? She gave gifts. Gifts don't buy ownership." For a second, I thought I'd misheard. The room spun in silence, the air thick with the smell of leftover dinner and betrayal. I gripped the wall until my knuckles went white. Gifts, I whispered to myself, the word curdling in my mouth. They were dividing my effort like spoils, and I was the fool who funded their comfort. I walked to my room without a sound, every step heavy, rehearsing the script they'd written for me my entire life. Be grateful, be quiet, be useful. But something inside me cracked that night. I didn't cry, I didn't confront them. I sat on the edge of my bed, the glow of my laptop reflecting in my eyes, and I started remembering. Every transfer, every bill, every time they'd said, just this once. Hours passed. The house went still. I could hear the rain against the window and the faint hum of the refrigerator, steady, unbothered, unlike my heartbeat. Then, just as I was about to close my laptop, my phone buzzed. 11:27 p.m. Mom, we changed all the locks. You don't have a home anymore. Let's see how brave you are now. Ha ha. The words burned into me one by one. I read them again slower. Locks, home, brave, and that laugh. Ha ha. Mocking, sharp, final. No call, no explanation, just that cold message glowing in the dark. I don't know how long I stared at it, maybe a minute, maybe 10. Then something strange happened. I laughed too. Soft at first, then louder until it echoed off the empty walls. Because in that moment, I saw the truth clearly for the first time. They hadn't shut me out, they'd freed me. I turned off the phone, opened my laptop again, and started typing. Not a message, not a plea, but a list. Dates, payments, repairs, every cent, every receipt, every promise. When I was little, Dad used to say, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Fine, I would. By dawn, I had a folder named Proof. And as the sun crept over the blinds, warming the cold air of my room, I made a quiet promise to myself. This time, I wasn't fixing anything for them. I was dismantling everything they'd built on me. The morning after that message, something inside me reset. No anger, no tears, just a clean, eerie calm. I brewed coffee, logged into work like nothing had happened, and started moving in silence. If my family wanted to see how brave I was, they were about to find out on paper. By day, I was still the dependable data analyst at a downtown firm. My coworkers had no idea that every spare minute was spent tracing back a different kind of data, my own history. I pulled old emails, bank transfers, utility statements, payments for roofing materials, contractor quotes I'd covered temporarily, grocery receipts from the months they'd claimed they were broke. Every number had a story, and every story pointed in the same direction. They had taken, and I had paid. I started building what I called the ledger of truth. One column for what I'd given, one for what they'd promised. The totals didn't just add up, they screamed. $47,000 toward the mortgage, $23,000 for renovations, $15,000 for emergencies, $85,000 of my life. Dad always bragged that I was the only one in the family who understood money. He just never realized how dangerous that would make me once I stopped using it for them. When my screen filled with lines of proof, I printed everything, labeled each stack, and tucked them into a file box under my desk. I didn't plan to run to court right away. Revenge, I decided, should age like wine, not explode like fire. I met with 3 different attorneys over the next few weeks. The first 2 spoke to me like I was just another hurt daughter looking for sympathy. The third didn't. She leaned forward, eyes sharp. "You've got a case," she said. "A solid one. It's not about the deed, it's about equity. If you can prove contribution and intent, you have standing." Intent. That word clicked. I thought about the text again. "Let's see how brave you are now." Ha ha. That wasn't just cruelty, it was proof. Malicious intent in writing. From that moment, every step I took was deliberate. I documented new transfers. I archived every voicemail Mom left pretending to check in. I backed up every file twice, one on my laptop, one in the cloud. At night, I'd sit at my desk watching the cursor blink beside the word evidence. My apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the heater and the occasional ping of another bank alert, confirming what I already knew.
I had the upper hand. By the time spring rolled around, my case was airtight. My attorney was ready. The paperwork drafted. We just needed one final trigger, something that showed intent beyond question. It arrived, right on schedule. 2 days after the anniversary of that lock-changing text, I got an email. The subject line read, "Urgent property sale notice." They were selling the house, without telling me. I smiled. Finally, they'd handed me exactly what I needed. The day of the mediation felt nothing like the storms I'd imagined. No thunder, no chaos, just a crisp Portland morning that smelled faintly of rain and paper. I walked into the downtown law office with a folder tucked under my arm and a coffee in my hand. My heart didn't race, my palms didn't sweat. I'd already lived through the worst part, being locked out of my own home by the people who swore they loved me. The receptionist guided me to a sterile conference room. White walls, long table, 2 pitchers of water untouched. The hum of fluorescent lights filled the silence. I sat down, placed the folder in front of me, and waited. A few minutes later, the door opened. My parents entered first. Mom in her usual soft beige coat, the one she wore to church to look humble, and Dad in his pressed shirt, jaw tight, eyes burning. Emily trailed behind them, twisting the strap of her purse, her face pale. "Kara?" Mom said softly, that same tone she used whenever she needed something. "You look tired, sweetheart." "Good morning," I replied, my voice calm, almost detached. Her lips curved in a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You didn't have to make this so official. We could have talked." I tilted my head. "You changed the locks. Talking didn't seem to be our family's preferred method." Her smile faltered. But before she could answer, the mediator, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, entered, followed by both attorneys. Mine gave me a reassuring nod as we took our seats. The first few minutes were procedural, polite, the kind of civility that makes your skin crawl when you know what's really underneath. Then my attorney opened the folder and began laying out the documents. Page after page of receipts, transfers, invoices. "This file," she said, sliding it toward the center of the table, "contains proof of Miss Liu's direct financial contributions to the property located at 2146 Maple Street over a 14-year period." Dad leaned forward, scoffing. "That's ridiculous. Those were gifts. She was helping her family." My attorney didn't flinch. The payments were repeatedly labeled as temporary assistance, with the expectation of reimbursement. We also have evidence of concealment of assets as well. Bank statements showing you maintain substantial savings while requesting money from Miss Liu under the pretense of financial hardship. Mom shifted uncomfortably. Her hands, perfectly manicured, trembled as she reached for the papers. "This is being twisted. We never—" I interrupted for the first time. "You told me I didn't have a home anymore. Remember that?" The room went silent. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked at me pleading. "That was a misunderstanding, Kara. We were angry." "It's in writing," my attorney added, sliding another page across the table, dated and time-stamped. 11:27 p.m. The text reads, "We changed all the locks. You don't have a home anymore. Let's see how brave you are now. Ha ha." The mediator adjusted his glasses, frowning. That message certainly suggests intent. Dad's face turned crimson. "She's twisting everything." That text was a joke. I met his glare evenly. "So was your idea of family." The mediator tried to regain control, but the tension had already snapped. My attorney continued methodically, pointing out every inconsistency, every false statement. The evidence stacked higher. Thicker mortgage payments, I'd covered renovation costs, utility bills, even the receipts for the new locks. Then came the moment I'd been waiting for. The opposing attorney, an older man with weary eyes, cleared his throat and leaned toward my parents. "Mr. and Mrs. Liu, we have a problem. You need to call me immediately after this session." The irony hit me like sunlight after a storm. I smiled, just barely. There it was, the line from my thumbnail of a life, finally playing out in real time. Mom's composure cracked. "Kara, please," she said, her voice wobbling. "We're family. Don't do this." I looked at her for a long moment, then spoke softly. "You're right. We are family. That's why I gave you chances. Years of them. But family isn't a free pass to take and take until someone breaks." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know," she whispered. "Yes, you did. You just didn't want to believe it." Dad slammed his palm on the table. "After everything we gave you," I cut him off, my voice steady. "After everything I gave you, you didn't raise me. You drained me." For a heartbeat, no one spoke. The sound of the air conditioner filled the space between us, humming like white noise over the wreckage of our relationship. My attorney finally broke the silence. "Given the evidence presented, we're requesting a 50% ownership interest in the property or equivalent compensation based on current market value." Dad looked like he might explode. Mom reached for his arm, but he jerked away. Emily sat rigid, staring at the table. When the session ended, my parents rushed out first, whispering to each other in panic. Their lawyer followed, phone already in hand, his voice sharp. "Yes, I am aware. I told them we have a problem." I stayed seated for a moment longer, staring at the folder in front of me, the quiet weapon I'd built out of betrayal. As I stood, my attorney smiled faintly. "You handled that well. Numbers don't lie. People do." Outside, the city was drenched in gold light. The street smelled of wet pavement and victory. I walked past a coffee shop window, caught my reflection, and almost didn't recognize the woman staring back. Steady, untouchable, free. I wasn't the daughter who obeyed anymore. I was the woman who learned how to fight without raising her voice. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt precise, powerful. They thought changing the locks would end my story. It only opened the door to theirs. The court's decision came 6 weeks later, printed neatly and black and white. 50% ownership awarded to me. It wasn't luck, it was proof. Every line, every number, every late-night calculation finally meant something. The house sold for more than they'd expected. After legal fees and taxes, my parents walked away with half of what they thought they'd retire on. They'd built their future on my obedience and watched it crumble under my evidence. I didn't move back in. That house was nothing but ghosts wearing the shape of family. Instead, I bought a small townhouse across town. The first thing I did was change the locks myself. New keys, new rules, new peace. Sometimes my phone lights up with their names. Dad's emails full of guilt, Mom's voicemails dripping with regret, but I never answer. Some doors, once closed, stay that way. On quiet mornings, I sit by my window with coffee and sunlight warming my face, listening to the hum of my own space. No footsteps, no orders, no demands. Just quiet. Just mine. They changed the locks to keep me out. I changed mine to keep them from ever walking in again. They thought they were teaching me a lesson on loyalty. What they really taught me was how to live without them. Freedom didn't come with forgiveness. It came with boundaries and a brand new set of keys. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes it just signs papers and walks away quietly. And that's enough. If you've ever had to rebuild from the wreckage your own family left behind, you're not alone. Your peace is worth protecting, even if you have to fight for it. Hit like, share your story in the comments, and subscribe for more true stories of quiet revenge and hard-won freedom.